This is NBC 10 at Issue.
Got a gun? Think your child doesn't know where you keep it? If you answered yes, you could be dead wrong. Research from the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia finds that a whopping 73% of kids under the age of 10 know where their parents keep their guns, and nearly 40% admit to handling them when their parents aren't around. The research also finds there is a simple way to lower the risks of your kids accidentally firing the guns in the house by more than 30%. We're talking about child-proof safety locks. Joining me now are Philadelphia City Council President Darrell Clarke and Philadelphia Sheriff Jewell Williams. Thank you both for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
So first, let's talk about the problem here. Talk about the scope of this.
Well, over the last several years, in terms of recording of actual incidents, upwards of 300 children, siblings, or other individuals have been shot and murdered as a result of gunshots, people getting access to weapons and unfortunately discharging them primarily by accident, but they clearly should not have had those guns. So we in City Council, working with the administration, put together legislation that will create the Child Safety Provision Bill that essentially required that you have the gun in a locked box, you have the gun in a location where it's not accessible to children under 18, and we actually put in that earlier provision requiring gun locks for all weapons in a household where a child is under 18. The law department, through their infinite wisdom, said that the bill might be less defensible because we anticipate that the National Rifle Association will obviously challenge our ability to enact our own gun laws, asked us to take that out. As a result of that, we worked with Sheriff Williams and a number of other advocates, and we came up with what we believe in has actually proven to be an extremely successful program. It's called the Gun Lock Program.
Right, and as Council President Clarke just mentioned, Sheriff, that's where you come in on this. You're trying to get gun locks in the hands of all Philadelphia gun owners.
Yes, we want anyone who knows someone who have a weapon or a gun that they should lock it up. If you got a gun, we say get a lock. And that's what's important to us, to make people safe and the public safe.
So to be clear, Council President Clarke, in terms of the bill, it's not required to have a gun lock. What really is required, that people need to store their weapons so that their kids can't get to them. But in the sort of meantime, you guys are hoping that people will take advantage of this free gun lock program.
Yeah, I mean, the bill is law, signed by the mayor. So right now, there's a $300 penalty if it's found that you have a weapon in the household with a child under 18 years of age. The gun lock provision, as I said earlier, is something that we're strongly recommending. The sheriff has done, his team has gone out, and some of the advocates have gone out, and I'm telling you, the response has been overwhelming. It tells you two things. One, you have a lot of responsible people because they're seeking the opportunity to get a London. The other thing it tells you, there are a lot of people with weapons in households.
Well, and so 2 points to that. One, in terms of compliance with the law itself, and then also with, you know, sort of this extension or this added bonus of being able to pick up these gun locks. Do you think people will do it? Oh,
absolutely. The sheriff has actually sent his team out to a number of events. We had one 2 weeks ago up in the community that I'm from, Strawberry Mansion, and they set the table up and people were coming and getting the gun locks, asking how you use them. His team has been out giving people an understanding. It's relatively easy. I'm excited about the opportunity to make sure that these guns remain safe in these environments.
Sheriff, something that the council president just pointed to and spoke about was the fact that what you're finding in some of these events is that there are a lot of guns in households.
Well, we have a lot of people, particularly people who are sending their children out for a overnight or a play date with children, that the question now is, do you have any weapons in your house?
Sure.
And if you do have weapons, there's been parents who came and got several gun locks, and they'll take the gun lock and give it to the person who's watching their child overnight and say, if you have a gun, lock those guns up. And we're getting a response, as the councilman said, everywhere we're going now, people are asking how they can use this gun lock, how can they get them, and what is the best way to keep your weapons safe. And one of the other points that was made is separating the ammunition from the gun. And because of the overwhelming amount of suicides and road rage, if a person has to spend some time trying to get the gun lock off, maybe you save someone's life on both ways.
In terms of people showing up to these events, do they have to provide any proof that the gun is legal, or can they just come up and take the material that they need?
We don't care if it's legal or unlegal, or illegal rather. We don't care. We want to make those guns safe. And if we can get that gun to get safe, then we're protecting people.
Yeah, there was actually a conversation with some people early on. Well, somebody might take it and sell it. I said, well, they're only going to sell it to somebody that's going to use it to lock up a gun. I'm okay with that. You know? So there's a specific purpose for these gun locks, and we anticipate that people will use them for that purpose.
In terms of the law itself, obviously, as we said, it doesn't require people to have the gun locks. You want people to get the gun locks. But they do have to store them. What happens if people don't comply with that?
Well, there's currently a $300 penalty in the code, and unfortunately, on a number of occasions in the city of Philadelphia, it actually resulted in murders.
Right, sure.
And it's extremely unfortunate. These children, as the statistics show, they figure out a way to find out where those weapons are. And we're asking people, you know, this notion that somehow, well, if I have a lock on it, I won't be able to get the gun in time if somebody breaks in my house. The numbers just simply don't show that. An overwhelming number of the burglaries are when you're not home. So we're simply saying, if you have to leave the household and your children are still there, take the gun and put it in a lock box. Put a gun lock on it. You know, it's not going to be a big issue with respect to you being able to access your weapon. You're home, you'll figure out a way to get that weapon and access it, if in fact you need it, but the statistics show that's simply not the case. And it would seem to me, in terms of compliance, unfortunately, you don't really find out about it until there is an accident. Well, that may not necessarily be the case. If for whatever reason there's a situation where a law enforcement officer or someone, and it happens to be in a household, you know, sees that there's a weapon that's not locked, then that person can be fined right there on the site. But we're hoping, and we are seeing in large numbers, that people really are responsible. And at the end of the day, if provided that opportunity to get a gun lock, they're taking that. Philadelphia City Council President Darrell Clarke and Sheriff Jewell Williams, thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate it. If you are interested in picking up a free gun lock at the front desk of the Sheriff's Office on Broad Street in Philadelphia, you can do it from 8:30 in the morning until 4:30 in the afternoon, or call that hotline, that number right there on your screen, 215-686.